How you doing, people? Welcome back to another ESO build video. Today is a brand new update and adaptation to the ever-popular Lazy Sorc. Now, the Lazy Sorc is a one-bar variant of a 7-year-old build that's been running forever, known as ESO Sorc. Been around for a long, long time, and both of those builds are still perfectly fine in all content. But this particular version is designed specifically for the Infinite Archive, so a little bit of adjusting as far as gear and stuff is concerned, but you will benefit massively from the new update in Update 41 to status effects. It has been boosted to hell and back all across the board, and this takes full advantage of it. So, we're going to go into all the details, obviously like we usually do, but bear in mind, there is also a class guide already for the Sorcerer on my channel, so if you're unsure of how the class generally works, everything is there. And there's a side video as well explaining the Update 41 changes, because we have got some very nice buffs to the class. Now, first of all, we're going to go over the stats as we usually do. So, I need food on, first of all. Potion and food, and that's it. You're done. You don't need anything else on at all. Everything is default because we're using the one ring, obviously. 37.9k max magicka, 26.5k max health. That will go up in certain situations. 14.5k max stamina. Decent recovery across the board with 919 stamina. We're not worried about the magicka because we can get it back from heavy attacks anyway. And we're almost 4.7k weapon and spell damage. That will go way over 5k, especially when we get bonuses later. We're on 48% crit chance. That can be boosted with help from another person or just from buffs and bonuses within the archive. And we're on 7k pen almost with 24,000 spell resistance and 20.4k physical resistance. We're quite tanky, we've got very healthy resources, and we're utilizing all of our magicka points, or all of our attribute points rather, into magicka. We're using flat health, flat magic food. Do not use anything else. Anything else is redundant for the build. It's not designed to utilize other food. Yes, it will still function, but it will be less effective. If you want to use recovery food, by all means do so, but your damage is going to go down. Your health is going to go down. Your stam pool is going to go up, but you don't need it because you're going to get it back from kills anyway. So if you use flat food, you get the most out of your damage and the most out of your survival all at once. It's cheap, it's easy, and it works. Now, we're also utilizing the Thief Munderstone. Our crit is not as high as it usually is with a Lazy Sorc or the ESO Sorc, so we do need this to boost it. And again, like I said, you can get buffs to push this even further, and that will make a substantial difference once you go through the archive when you get to higher ranks. Now, we're going to go over the skills. Again, remember, there is a class guide for this stuff already, so if you want full details on all that stuff, there are 2 videos. One for the entire class, and one for the update for a couple of skills that were changed. But I'm going to glaze over these kind of quickly, just so you get a rough idea of what we're doing with the build. So, Bound Aegis, first of all, comes from the Daedric Summoning skill line. Bound Aegis is morphed from Bound Armor. You want this particular morph on purpose. Technically speaking, you don't press any buttons. You just leave it on the bar. It gives you minor protection all the time, minor resolve all the time, and 8% increase to max magicka, which boosts your damage, and of course your damage shield, which is kind of handy. You're going to need that. Happy days, don't need to do anything. But bear in mind, if you do activate this, for 5 whole seconds, any damage that you block, you will actually have a 40% increase to block mitigation. So you're very, very tanky in dangerous situations. So for the less experienced player, just leave it there, don't press it. But for the more experienced player, if you can time blocks and stuff like that, then of course you can take a lot less damage. Practice it, you'll get used to it. You don't have to spam it, just whenever you need it. Next up is Unstable Wall of Storms. Now, technically speaking, this is Wall of Elements morphed into Unstable Wall of Elements, but it's called Storms because we're using the lightning staff. Yes, that is on purpose, regardless of passives. We'll come to those later. Basically, because we're using lightning, this will do shock damage every second to all enemies inside of it. And when it finishes, it will blow up. When it finishes. That doesn't mean when the 10 seconds is up. That means if you recast it as well, because the old one is over and the new one has started. So technically, AoE spammable if you really wanted it, but as soon as you replace it, the last one goes bang. Enemies inside of this, if they receive concussion, which is a lucky status effect chance from lightning damage, they will be knocked off balance. Off balance is very, very powerful as far as base game mechanics are concerned, because if you heavy attack an off balance target, if they can be stunned, they'll be knocked down, and also you'll get 70% more damage from that heavy attack, as well as getting double resources back, regardless of your weapon type. Bear in mind, however, there is a champion point passive known as the Exploiter, which will allow you 10% extra damage to off-balance targets as well, and that stacks. Generally speaking, off-balance is up for 7 seconds, down for 15, so there is an immunity timer per target, but the more you have in the room, the more enemies can be knocked off the balance at once, and the more useful that particular passive is. Most people that normally slot that passive only really consider a single target and just hope that it's going to trump other versions of slottables in order to boost their DPS overall. Well, this particular build is going to guarantee off balance in a room-wide scale, so you are going to need that slottable. We'll come to that later, but you are going to guarantee off balance without fail. I know it's status chance, but not on this build. It is not a chance. You will control it. Next is Hardened Ward. This is in the Daedric Summoning skill line as well as Bound Aegis. You actually get it before that. This has been changed. Basic is a damage shield, and the higher your magicka, the stronger it is. Technically, if you're a tank, the higher your health also. That contributes. It depends on which one you spec into. But it is still capped at 72% of your maximum health. Now read this very carefully. If you activate the shield, you get a massive damage shield for you and your pets. However, if you have no pets currently active, you will still get the shield, and you will heal as well. That has been buffed to hell. Your survival just went up tenfold. It is ridiculous. If your Atronach, our ultimate, is active, you won't heal. If it's not active, you will. Simple as that. Use that in emergencies. It's very, very powerful. Crit Surge, obviously from the Stormcalling skill line. This is bread and butter for the Sorcerer. Activate it and you get Major Brutality and Sorcery. Granted, we don't need that because we have that on our special ring. Now, basically, if you do damage and it crits, you will heal. Now, you can't heal any faster than once per second with this particular skill, but you will heal all the time. It is ridiculous, and it can get stronger and stronger and stronger because, yes, it can crit as well. It's not always going to, but it can. That, stacked alongside of our damage shield, used to be very, very powerful because you would have your shield over top of your health bar, and you would heal from underneath it. Now, you heal from underneath it, and you heal from the shield too. Double dipped on survival there. Crazy, don't let that run out. Next up is Elemental Susceptibility. Now this is from the Destruction Staff skill line. It technically doesn't do damage by itself. It applies a debuff, which is Major Breach, which removes resistances from the target. It doesn't do actual Destruction Staff damage, but it does guarantee status effect. It guarantees burning, chilled, and concussion on single target. And you can put this on multiple different targets at once, and it is free, and it's got massive range. During its duration, it will apply all 3 burning, chilled, and concussion guaranteed status effects once every 7.5 seconds. However, if you reapply this, it will always apply the concussion, chilled, and burning status effects on cast. So yes, you guessed it, you can light attack cast, and it will apply. This becomes a status spammable. Now, I have spoken to the devs about this because I was a little bit apprehensive about putting it on the build because I wasn't sure whether they were going to balance this or not. Reason being is Elemental Drain is one of those skills that was always used over top of this. Then they changed this to status damage, and this is being used more often because status chance from magical effects, which is overcharged, is a lot easier to access now rather than applying it from one particular skill. So this kind of trumped it. And in the same sense, this also is a spammable instead of a duration-based skill accidentally. Their intention wasn't to necessarily allow you to spam this. Their intention was to let it fire on a timer. So I did approach them with it. And I did say, is this going to change? Are you worried about this being a default in Infinite Archive because it's not really a duration skill if you're just going to spam it anyway? Their response was, at the moment, they don't see it as much of a problem because it doesn't really affect anywhere else in the game. And if it is going to affect you in the Infinite Archive, it's only if you get focused efforts anyway. So there's a chance. Granted, it does go against their design, so it might get adjustments in the future, but as it stands at the moment, they're not changing anything yet. So we're going to use it. So basically, that's your spammable. And if you get focused efforts, your status damage is going to be absolutely insane. It already is on update 40, it's even more crazy in update 41. Now, Summon Charged Atronach is our ultimate, and we have chosen this one on purpose. One of the morphs actually has higher health, lasts longer, and does more damage on single target. This one does damage in area of effect, but one, it does shock damage, so you've got a chance of status, which is nice. But at the same time, the AoE effect every 2 seconds guarantees it. So you can double dip on passives here. You can have a chance to fire concussion in the first place from shock damage, but you also guarantee it from the effect. This inside of Wall of Elements, alongside your elemental susceptibility, means you have 100% control of off balance. And concussion was boosted dramatically. On this particular build, you're looking at about 5 or 6k if you're lucky on crits without any buffs whatsoever, just as you are. But if debuffs happen from your group, or you get lucky crits, or you get extra bonuses and buffs from your group, that can be a bit stronger. So you can go up to like 6 or 7k if you're lucky. Bear in mind, this is at base. If you get focused efforts once, that 5 to 7k-ish, so we'll say 6 average, turns into 25. If you get 3, it turns into almost 50, almost 60, which is insane. If you get 4 focused efforts, I've seen this hit over 90. You get 5 focused efforts, you guessed it, it's going up and up and up. And all you're doing is spamming status effects and utilizing your ultimate. Every 2 seconds, you are blowing up the room. So use this as much as you possibly can. Get tomfoolery all the time, and also get ulti reduction to cost as a bonus in Infinite Archive if you can. Spam this all day, keep the wall down, keep your heals up, you're done. Now, this is going to go alongside the sets as well, which are absolutely bonkers, because this further inflates your ability to apply status, not just on single target, but area of effect as well. Now, when it comes to passives, we are going to obviously take advantage of all the Sorcerer passives. They are very important, and a couple got changed. Technically speaking, you can go into the class guide and read all this stuff yourself, but I will tell you that you won't need this passive here. You won't need Blood Magic because we're not using Dark Magic skills, and you won't need Exploitation because we're not using Dark Magic skills. Also, if you read this here, this was changed, and I've gone into the wrong skill line. The Daedric Summon skill line, this particular skill here is different. If you have a pet, your ultimate, you get 10% increased health. So during that time, you are tankier. But remember, when your pet's active, your shield doesn't heal. It just shields you and it. But when your pet is down, you have inflated magicka and stamina. So more flat damage as you don't have a pet, and more flat health if you do. So that's an important one to know. As far as the rest of the passives are concerned, obviously you want all the destruction staff passives. Remember, your heavy attack channel does single target damage, but it pops at the end. Also, your direct damage and your channel's damage is boosted with this particular passive here. So that is actually very, very helpful. Your damage over time isn't boosted like the status effect bonus you would normally get from the flame stuff. But bear in mind, most of the status that we're doing, apart from burning, is actually direct damage. And we get a boost to shock damage as a sorcerer. So that constant concussion and constant chilled from the elemental susceptibility is going to outplay the burning status anyway. The burning status will still be incredibly powerful and actually almost match it, but the amount of damage you'll get from concussion and chilled is stupid. So the lightning staff for this particular build has always been a better option and still remains in this particular setup. Not to mention, of course, that channel to get resources back with a pop in AoE is just easy mode. We are using 3 different types of armor. You're going to want to get all the passives for these, but bear in mind, we've only got 1 heavy and 1 medium. They're not massively essential to start with, but you are going to want to get them eventually. What is essential to start with is your light passives, because you are going to take advantage of penetration and crit bonuses, which are, of course, crucial to the build. We are not using any Fighter's Guild or Mage's Guild abilities, so you don't have to go looking for those, but we are taking advantage of Undaunted. So if you see a synergy, take it, you'll get resources back, and because we're using 3 types of armor, you can take advantage of Undaunted Metal and get 6% resources across the board, which means health, magic, and stamina is up. So we're quite healthy when it comes to that kind of stuff. We've got good passives stacking all of our bonuses together, so we're not ultra squish. We are a high elf, of course. That is technically important for the way that I like to play it, but that is because I want to take advantage of resources back, the opposite resource, your stamina, by using magicka skills. That means your damage shield, your wall of elements, whatever. You have reduction to damage if you're channeling, so while you're using your heavy attack, you take less damage, and you have flat magicka and flat weapon and spell damage, which contributes to your overall damage and survival when it comes to heals, damage, and damage shields. However, if you would like to use any other race in the game that exists, and that is your choice, there is nothing wrong with that. You won't break the build, you will do just fine. Bear in mind, this particular version with this race is a bit squishy apart from the channel reduction to damage. If you want to be a Nord and have loads of resistances, or a Brett and have resistances and reduction to cost, which you don't really need, but resistances are nice. Or if you want to have an Imperial, so reduction to cost for everything, including your ulti, anything you want is absolutely fine. But I've chosen the High Elf on purpose just to inflate the flat stats. It doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be better for you. You might want an Orc because they heal off of damage. Who knows? Your choice. Alchemy is, of course, absolutely essential. You will be using tripods, which give you health, magic, and stamina back. And I'm going to stop there for a second while you just absorb that. That's not the main purpose of the potion. Is it nice? Yes. But is it an emergency get stats back? No, it's not. It has 3 other bonuses on it. It has major fortitude, major intellect, and major endurance. Those 3 are 30% recovery to all 3 bars that stack with your 15% recovery for all 3 bars that your ring is carrying. Keep them running. Your potions now outplay the cooldown. So if you always activate a potion, even if you're full, you will maintain those recovery bonuses and you won't keep dipping so low. People that only use potions when their bars are low are doing it wrong. Generally speaking, you'll get about 7.5k resources back. That is enough to cast 2 spells. You're out again. Maintain your potions. They are consumable buffs. If you can keep your recovery going all the time, it will still benefit you to pop the potions as and when because you'll get resources, but you'll keep your bars healthy. I can't stress that enough. It's such an important passive. You've got to keep your potions running. If they're that precious to you, you probably shouldn't be using potions anyway. They are active, consumable buffs. You wouldn't let Crit Surge run out, so don't let your potion run out. Anyway, now we're going to get onto the gear, and this is where we start getting a little bit crazy when it comes to status effects. Remember, focused efforts is very, very powerful. Status effects have been enhanced a dramatic amount, and we are going to apply concussion all day long for constant off balance. Remember, that concussion gets boosted by our shock damage, by focused efforts, by weapon and spell damage, by crit damage, and by off balance. Now, the gear. Livewire Lightning Staff in Precise. We do not need charged. We'll take Precise with a weapon and spell damage glyph. If you get the enchant buff in the Infinite Archive that boosts your glyphs, this gets very dramatic, and we can keep the crit chance at the same time. This has got a heal and taken bonus twice with extra health, and we are utilizing it in the same place that you would normally put the Sergeant on the Lazy Sorc. So Lightning Staff on the weapon, with the chest, obviously with Divines and Magicka, and 2 jewelry pieces, 1 neck, 1 ring. Both bloodthirsty, both with weapon and spell damage glyphs on, but make sure you use the Tadri version, not the Makhtari version. That way you'll get a stamina recovery bonus, and that will help you in CC situations to maintain your bar. Now, the reason we're utilizing this particular set is because if you get hit, and you will pop. And 8 meters around you, all enemies will guarantee get hit with a concussion status effect. Now, I know on here it doesn't tell you how much damage it does, because it doesn't. The set does not do damage. The concussion status effect does. So that's why when most people look at this on paper, they just see effect, no damage, oh, I get a heal. Yes, you do. You get a heal for every target hit. This can apply once every 6 seconds, so it's rapid fire, but the concussion status is so bloody powerful, you can actually blow up rooms just by getting hit. Alongside your wall of elements, you are guaranteeing, while inside your wall, to knock everyone off balance just for being near you and hitting you. This is incredibly powerful, and alongside your Atronach and everything else you've got running, it is stupid. So get this as soon as you can. It's overland, it can be traded. Happy days. The other set we're utilizing is brand new to the game, and this is in update 41. It's a dungeon set. You can get it on normal, so don't panic about having to go on a vet. You do not need vet. But this is all on the body. The hat, the waist, hands, legs, and feet. This is all light, and this is the Cinders of Anfilmir? Is that how you say it? Someone tell me in the comments section, like I'm 5, how you say it. Offensive pen, absolutely brilliant. 2 weapon and spell damage bonuses, also very, very nice for overall damage, but on dealing damage. So this one is when you get hit. This one is when you do damage of any kind. Once every 8 seconds, you will fire a moth that will explode at the closest enemy. And every enemy within 8 meters range, also same area as Livewire, will be guaranteed hit with burning status effect. So for doing damage, let's just say for argument's sake, you're putting down your wall of elements right now and you're standing in it. That wall of elements does damage and fires this. You get hit and fire this. Everyone is off balance, everyone has taken more damage, and your focused efforts flies. It's very, very powerful combo if utilized correctly. We are, of course, using the one ring, which is the Oakensoul ring. Same glyph, same trait as these two. And you've got all these buffs with you. You might want to note down what buffs and bonuses you have so you don't double stack them with your group, because they don't double stack. But if they do by accident, so be it, you've got it anyway. But if you're playing smart and you're playing in a duo, try to bring buffs and bonuses with your other person in the group that you don't already have, or at least stuff that you can both benefit from. Maybe they need them, which is fair enough, but if you're trying to boost your damage, then there's other stuff that you can take from them. Bear in mind, by the way, the Storm Atro that you are actually bringing, you can't take the synergy to give yourself Major Berserk, but they can take it and give it to the group. So if you have two of these and you both fire Atros, you can both take each other's synergies and you can both do a phenomenal amount of damage. There is one more item that we are utilizing. It's not a game changer, but it's the highest crit chance that you can get from any one-piece shoulder or helmet set in the game outside of a mythic, and we can't use two mythics at once. So, Slime Crawl all day long. Bear in mind, the weights are quite simple. The entire Cinders set is all light, live wire, heavy chest as it comes, and a medium Slime Crawl shoulder. It's not the end of the world if you don't have a medium, but if you want to optimize for the sake of stats and bonuses and such, then you want to get that. Now, champion points. This will line up nice and easy. We are utilizing Wrathful Strikes, obviously, to give us a flat bonus to all damage that we do. That doesn't mean single target or damage over time or area of effect specific. That's everything. Dipping into it all. We're also taking advantage of Fighting Finesse, so we can take critical damage, or do critical damage rather, when we hit stuff, which will be elevated. We can take bonuses from our group. We can take bonuses from passives and bonuses and verses and visions and such. But off the bat, you want a good amount of crit damage because we will be critting quite a bit. You also want to take advantage of Deadly Aim because while our status effects may be hitting multiple targets in an area, every single status effect is single target, apart from Diseased, which has a side effect to it, but we're not using Disease. Also, you want to take advantage of this. Exploiter. We are guaranteeing off balance. Those enemies will not be alive long enough for you to even see their cooldown. They are going to die. You're going to take the extra damage bonus. Status is going to be nuts. Everything else is passive stuff. Granted, if it gets too difficult and you start getting to really high arcs, you can swap one of your skills out for Ironclad if you really want to. But honestly, that would probably just be the crit damage bonus or something to that effect, because you're going to be stacking lots of crit damage bonuses along the way anyway, and you can kind of offset a little bit if you want. Not the end of the world if you don't, because you've got really good survival anyway. But if you feel squishy, you might want to swap that out. Red Tree, get all the white and yellow stuff passive-wise as soon as you can, obviously. But before that, you want to make sure you've got your slottables. Max health, max armor, and this is why you don't need tri-stat food, because you don't need to maintain a stamina bar outside the recovery bonus, because if you get kills, you'll get stamina. We are using Bloody Renewal, so every single kill will give us 1.5k stam back. Easy peasy, don't dodge roll too much, you'll maintain it all day. And we've got Siphon and Spell, so if we do get kills, again, we'll get 1.5 Magicka back. So both bars are up at all times. We've got 3 recovery bonuses from our potions. Really good resource management. Alongside utilizing heavy attacks. They're not as strong as they were on the original Lazy Sorc on purpose, because we're reducing that a little bit to inflate the status damage, but you will still hit very hard with those heavies, especially since we've got constant in power and off balance. 70% in power, 70% off balance, still really hard hitting heavies. The green tree doesn't make a shit's bit of difference. It's up to you what you do with this. It's all quality of life, but I would recommend some. If you're out of combat, your movement speed is faster. That's rarely going to affect you, but if you're using the secrets, or utilizing the secrets, and you're using the tunnel secret and you have to go through there really quickly, this helps. And also from one fight to another, if you are fighting way too far away from a spawn point, you don't get there quick enough, then you'll accidentally lose a life. That is a feature that shouldn't exist, but it does. So this helps you kind of get from one place to another nice and quick. Outside of that, you've got extra loot from treasure chests, you've got extra duration on your food, and you have a chance of not even using a potion, but you still get the benefit. Those are the ones I'd recommend. Outside of that, it really doesn't matter. Now, how do you play it? Well, that's easy. Basically, you keep up Crit Surge, and you keep up your Wall of Elements, and you heavy attack stuff. or you light attack and spam elemental susceptibility. That is it. Now, if I drop my wall of elements here and heavy attack, they're all going to pop and do damage. But so is the moth. They're all burning. They're all burning already. I can spam this, constantly doing damage with status, and reapply my wall. Or I can put this on individual targets so they all constantly have ticking status effects if I want, and then just maintain heavies on something else. I'm not going to run out of resources. Now, if you're actually in a fight with real enemies, they will be hitting you. You're not just going to get the moth firing. You're not just going to get susceptibility firing. You're not just going to have your Atronach firing. You are going to have your live wire firing as well, which will heal you and damage them. Now, just so you can see how impactful this actually is, I'm going to build up ulti, and I'm going to fire Atronach on this group. As you can see, wall of elements. One person got off balance by chance. This is going to guarantee it. Off balance, off balance, off balance, off balance, off balance, off balance, off balance. Bear in mind, concussion also supplies minor vulnerability, which means you hit them for 5% more damage. So it's pretty nuts stacking all this stuff together. Again, Infinite Archive is all about chance and choice. The chance to have buffs and bonuses appear that you want, and the choices you make as to whether you take them or not. And these are the things you should look out for. You definitely want to get Ferocious support to inflate the damage from your heavy attack, because you'll now apply a bleed. That bleed is incredibly powerful, and it can apply a status effect of hemorrhage, which has been boosted quite dramatically. So if it stacks and stacks and stacks, that can add a lot of damage per target if you heavy attack individuals. Take Ferocious Strikes as well, so you can further boost physical damage, and that actual buff is physical damage. That will also affect you as a werewolf as well if you ever get that transformation. Outside of that, you want Scorching support, because if you put the fire down on the ground, enemies will melt inside of it if you can manipulate their feet to bring them into it, and that can also apply an extra burn and status effect if you're lucky. The other thing you obviously need is as many focused efforts as possible. If you see any buff on that board next to focused efforts, it's irrelevant. The only one you should be picking up is focused efforts. That is the one you want to inflate the damage of this build. Outside of that, crit damage, crit chance, and duration of single target damage over time. Your direct damage is nice as well. That does contribute towards your statuses apart from burning and apart from hemorrhage, but those are the things you look for. Scorching, ferocious, and focused efforts. Everything else is gravy. Get some damage mitigation. You will need it eventually. Absolutely insane overall, and inside the Infinite Archive itself, while it does function outside, inside the Infinite Archive it is incredible. But again, luck needs to be on your side. You got to get those focused efforts. If you are actively going for score runs, by the way, and you're trying to play a bit sweaty, if you get through the first 2 arcs, you don't see any focused efforts, and you haven't got any good buffs, just bloody reset it and go again. Because my RNG sucks. I'm sure yours does too. But if you can make it line up, it's incredible. Now, we're going to go over fashion, obviously, so that we can nail down what we are actually using, because I'm sure you're curious. We are using the Symphony of Blades mask. That is actually tradable. So if anyone's selling that on the market, you might need some pennies, but you can get that. Furthermore, the chest is actually free. You don't need the motif style for this, because that is the actual fashion for that chest piece. It comes with it. However, you are going to need these. Dremora Kindreave heavy pauldrons. They don't come in any other weight, but it's heavy. We've also got the same for the gauntlets and the feet. But the legs are Fire Drake, and the belt is Dromathra heavy. The staff is Spellscar Litho Arms. That is a special one. If you've got it, you've got it. If you haven't, use something else. But the colors we're using is mostly black on everything, apart from the head and the chest, where we've utilized this blue here for the chest. Oh, wrong button. Put that back on. And we're utilizing a different one for the head, which is down here. This one here, which is Stendar White. I know it says white, but it's a blue. Also, there's a couple other ones that don't really work because it's got a shine to it. So it kind of manipulates the color a bit. Depending on the material, depends on how it comes out. So, hopefully that helped. Thank you very much for watching. I hugely appreciate the support. If you're not subscribing, obviously hit that button. It's free. Hit the notification bell as well so you know when new videos go live. And there is a new one coming very soon. A tag team partner for this guy in the Infinite Archive. And spoilers, it's a Warden. So, let me know in the comment section what you think. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Have you actually tried it? And if you have tried it, please tell me how many focused efforts you got, because my RNG sucks. The most I've ever had on it is 4 so far. Tell me you got 5. Thank you very much again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.